In Frederick, Colorado, the Watts family appeared to be a standard happy household. Through social media and public interactions, they projected an image of a stable, thriving life. At 33, Chris had a career and a growing family. Shanann was 15 weeks pregnant with their first son, Nico, and they were raising 2 young daughters, 4-year-old Bella and 3-year-old Celeste. That image dissolved on August 13, 2018, when Shanann and the girls suddenly vanished. In the hours following the disappearance, Chris spoke to local media, appearing as a confused husband pleading for his family's safe return. However, investigators quickly discovered that Chris was leading a double life. For weeks, he had been engaged in an active affair with a co-worker at Anadarko Petroleum named Nicole Kessinger. Chris was already planning for a fresh start with Nicole. He was looking at smaller apartments and discussing a separation from Shanann, believing he could simply transition from his old life into a new one. Chris believed he had successfully removed his family from the picture, but his story was about to meet the objective data collected by the police investigation. The investigation moved quickly. Within hours of the welfare check, Officer Coonrod was at neighbor Nate Trinistitch's house to review his home security footage. The camera captured Chris's movements at 5:27 a.m. that morning. He is seen backing his work truck up to the garage, a move his neighbor noted was highly unusual. The footage provided a definitive record of who left the house. While Chris is seen loading the truck and driving away, the camera shows no evidence of Shanann or the children ever leaving. While watching the playback in Nate's living room, Chris's physical composure began to fail. Police Bodycam caught him rocking back and forth, sweating, and putting his hands on his head as he watched the recording. He attempted to deflect by talking rapidly about his morning routine, but the behavior only increased suspicion. As soon as Chris stepped outside, Nate whispered to the officer that Chris was acting nervous and was talking much more than usual. This moment provided the first physical evidence that Chris's claims did not match the recorded reality. On August 15th, the investigation moved to the interrogation room. CBI agent Tammy Lee established a rapport with Chris, offering him a polygraph test as a way to prove his innocence. This chart visualizes standard polygraph scoring. A score below -2 is considered a failure, but Chris scored -18, indicating extreme physiological deception. With these biological results, investigators had the proof they needed. His physical reactions made it impossible to continue his denial. Agent Lee and Agent Pelber then employed a strategic interrogation technique. They suggested a scenario where Shanann had hurt the children, and Chris had simply reacted in anger, giving him a way to confess without admitting to being the primary aggressor. Chris took the opportunity. He confessed to his father on camera that he had buried Shanann and disposed of the girls, though he still tried to protect his image by claiming Shanann was responsible for the girls' deaths. By providing Chris a way to maintain a small part of his good guy persona, investigators secured the confession needed to recover the bodies from the oil site. In early 2019, while serving his sentence, Chris Watts finally provided the details he had previously withheld, admitting to the full scope of the murders. He corrected his earlier lie, admitting there was no reactive struggle. He had strangled Shanann in their bed while she was unable to defend herself. He then drove to the Survey 319 oil site with his wife's body in the truck and his 2 daughters alive in the back seat. At the site, he smothered Celeste and then Bella, who tried to fight back. He disposed of the girls in industrial oil tanks and buried Shanann in a shallow grave nearby. While Chris spent that morning at the oil site, the town of Frederick responded by filling his front lawn with a massive memorial of flowers and stuffed animals left by a grieving community. The Watts case serves as a record of where personal deception meets physical evidence. Chris Watts maintained his story for days, but it was eventually dismantled by the combination of a neighbor's camera, a polygraph test, and strategic interrogation.